I have an addiction where I buy unnecessary fabrics whenever I go thrift shopping. I call it the daydream fabric syndrome. Whenever I see a fabric I like, I envision myself making something out of it, only to bring it back home and just toss it in the basement, never to be seen again. Over the years, I have managed to accumulate a pile of them, and it is getting out of control at this point. So today, we're gonna combat this addiction by making some clothes that serves CVNTY. First up, we got this Doors dress from Shrek. We love Doors, and this could be considered cute during the medieval period, but this is not serving up to today's standards, so we have to fix her up real quick. Alright, I am starting the timer because I want to challenge myself to sew faster. So 3, 2, 1, timer starts now. My plan for this medieval Doors dress is that I want to turn it into a batwing dress / top, depending on how you want to wear it. I've been wanting to make a batwing dress because I've seen a lot of people rocking this fit on Instagram and Pinterest, and they're surprisingly easy to make than they look. First step first, we gotta lay her flat down on the ground, make sure there's no wrinkles on sight because you don't want to be tracing and cutting out a wiggly looking batwing dress. Now, I already have an existing batwing dress that I made before from another velvet medieval looking dress, so I'm pretty much just copy and pasting what I already have. But if you want to recreate this dress for yourself, all you gotta do is just make 2 semicircles that's as long as your arm span to make the top portion of the dress. After cutting out 2 pieces of fabrics that kind of resembles the shape of a lip, put them on top of each other with the outside touching, then take it to the sewing machine to sew the shoulder seams and the side seams together. I had 40 minutes left at this point, so I thought I still had plenty of time left, and my delusional self was convinced that I was going to be able to finish a whole dress in a nick of time. But you'll see later that sewing takes a lot more time and effort, and it's never really wise to overestimate how much you can complete within an hour, even if you've been sewing for years. Not that I'm trying to call myself a professional seamstress or anything, but I certainly did have enough experience to know this much. Honestly, at this point, I only have 15 minutes left, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish the whole thing within 1 hour. I think that was pretty unrealistic, but I did manage to finish the top pretty well, so I'm gonna try it on to see how it fits on me. Okay, this is pretty cute. What do you guys think? Close up. This is how it looks like. I don't think I even need to add a sleeve. I just gotta probably attach the elastic band so that it can fit well around my shoulder, and add a skirt and maybe sleeves, and I'll be done. I have this elastic band, but it's too thick, and I gotta make it longer, so I'm just gonna cut it in half. Alright, I got 2 elastic bands now. Gotta tie it around my shoulder to get the exact measurement, and it'll fit snug, nice and snug on my body. It's a little bit tighter so that it doesn't slip too much, like maybe around here. Yeah, let's do somewhere around there. Right, this is the length that I got. Not too sure if you can see it on the screen. I am gonna slap it onto the shoulder seam. Alright, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna put the elastic band and then fold it over and sew it together with a zigzag stitch to secure it in place. Here, I'm just stretching out the elastic band as I sew along the shoulder seam with a zigzag stitch so that it stretches out nicely when you wear it. And I don't know if you noticed, but in case if you did, if you're wondering why I look slightly scared or concerned sometimes, it's because I have this inherent fear that if I sew too fast, the needle might break and the very tip of the needle is gonna fly to my face and stab my eyeball, and I potentially become blind for the rest of my life just because I didn't wear a protective gear like my eyeglasses to cover my eyes from this potentially hazardous event. And I know that sounded unnecessarily detailed, but you would understand this feeling if you're an anxious person or an overthinker. Anyways, to save you from feeling squirmish, no, there was no needles breaking while I was sewing this project, and yes, I did survive just fine with 2 working eyeballs. Jump scare. I know this looks like a gruesome crime scene of an innocent clothing being shredded into pieces, but I swear it's all for a greater good. Now, I only have this much fabric left to make the skirt, which is the sleeves and just the bottom of the skirt of the dress. And I'm not too sure how I'm going to be able to scrape up enough to make the whole skirt, but I'm going to manage. But before we continue, a quick bunny break to restore our sanity and motivation. like a little loaf. And we're back to working. Here I am making the skirt that's 16 inches wide and 9 inches long, a length long enough to cover half the butt cheeks, because you know what they say, the shorter the skirt, the harder the sleigh. I made that up, but I just know that someone out there already came up with a quote like that. I may be the second person on this earth to come up with it though. And also, here's when I got jump scared by something incredibly, ridiculously stupid. Here, I'll do a countdown for you. In 3, 2, 1. Bro, guess what I got scared by? This. I thought this was a bug, like a spider or something. Look, before you come at me and laugh at me for being scared at a piece of fabric that looks nothing like a spider, it's because I don't have my eyeglasses, okay? I'm blind. So that was kind of embarrassing, not because I got scared of a piece of fabric, but because of the way I screamed. I mean, what was that? Moving on, I cut off the sleeves, traced out a rectangle that can magically turn into a skirt when sewn together. I tried on the skirt and it fits perfectly, but right when I was about to attach the skirt to the top and call it a day, I came across a bit of a dilemma. You know what I realized? I think I made the bat wing top upside down because, let me show you. Because I just realized this was supposed to be the skirt. And then this was supposed to be the shoulder, but I made it completely opposite. That's why I kind of felt a little bit off when I tried it on. I was like, wait a dang minute, is it supposed to be shaped this way? But I don't know, it still looks good. I don't think you could really notice it when you try it on. It's not like I can really do anything at this point. I can, but it's just I went too far in and I don't want to reverse what I just did because I'm like so close to being finished. So I might as well just keep it the way it is at this point. After spending about 1.5 hours on this batwing dress, I have finally finished it. And here is the finished product. Now Doris can go to the disco bar and find herself a proper knight in shining armor that can hold all of her shopping bags when she goes shopping on my Depop shop. Number 2, we got this super raggedy emo looking t-shirt that was hiding in the crevices of the basement. Now, I don't have anything against the emos, but I need a fit that looks like it would be featured in a Lady Gaga music video, not at the My Chemical Romance concert. To yassify this t-shirt, you gotta cut it into 3 parts. For this one, I cut out a few strips that was 9 inch wide with whatever length that was long enough to cover the front. Start. Taking those strips over to the sewing machine, I folded them in half and sewed along the edges so that they can be about 4 inches wide. And I know you're probably confused and curious about what I'm cooking up here, but you'll have to wait till the end because I want this one to be a surprise. And also, you can't cheat by trying to skip over this part. After sewing the strip into a tube, you have to flip it inside out to hide the seams. And now that it's inside out, I had to repeat the same steps to the rest of the strips that I cut out. 1 down, 2 more to go. We have about 20 minutes until the timer goes off, so we better speed up. Here, I'm tracing and cutting out my favorite shirt that has the right fitting. By the way, pro tip, instead of wasting money on one of those fabric markers, get yourself a pack of chalk that only costs 99 cents at Acme that can last longer and easier to draw on. And if you want to trace with precision, you can take a pencil sharpener and sharpen the tip to get a sharp point. To conceal the fraying sides of the cutout piece, I zigzag stitched the edges to make it look more clean and professional. Then I hemmed the bottom edge, and not to toot my own horn here, but I look like I've been doing this for ages, so I guess you could call me the hemming master. Even though the timer has went off at this point, I still had to continue to stay true to my own goal. Finally, you can see my vision coming together. I got inspired to create this piece from this top and dress that I saw from Pinterest because that's where I source 90% of my ideas from. With the clubbing and rave culture becoming more relevant like it's always been, I thought this would be a fitting piece for all the girlies that likes to go nightclubbing or for those that has a sleek and unique taste in fashion. After sewing on 3 strips to the front of the top, I realized that 3 isn't enough, so I decided to add a 4th strip, which was a lot more narrower compared to the other ones, but it did help secure the waist and tie the look together. To finish the top, I had to take the sleeves that was cut out from the original t-shirt and downsized it by 1 inch to make it more fitting around the arms. Now that the top is done, that once a sad little lonely emo now has a hot emo girlfriend to take out to the rave dance with. Numero 3, we have a white lace top, very cute, very whimsy, but not very despacito. So we're gonna upgrade this top from going to church on Sundays to taking tequila shots on Sundays. No, I'm just kidding, that was a joke. Please don't get mad at me. First step first, we gotta give this top a homemade liposuction to snatch up that waist. To do that, take a almost dried up Crayola marker instead of taking an actual working marker because I'm too lazy to get out of the basement, and trace out the desired shape. And just as a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed plastic surgeon, but all you gotta do next is, you guessed it, sew along the traced lines. Now, you just gotta cut off the excess fabric and go it over with a zigzag stitch to stitch up that liposuction. And before you know it, you're already halfway done with this project. With the 2 remaining excess fabrics, this could be a great opportunity to attach it to the end of the sleeves to turn it into a loose bell sleeves. To do that, instead of cutting off the pizza crust, you gotta cut off the pizza edge, big enough to match the width of the sleeves. Make sure to do that to all the pizza pieces. Then sew the sides together and attach it to the sleeves. Repeat the same process to the other sleeves. And it's all done. Numero 4. Also, the final project in this video. We start with this plain white boring t-shirt, plain like a croissant, but after the makeover, we will make it delicious like a chocolate croissant. Okay, I'm done doing the French accent now. I'm starting off by cutting the collar off so that it can be off the shoulder when you try it on. I again slap on my favorite t-shirt, trace out the shape, bring it to the sewing machine to sew the sides, and cut off the excess fabric to make it snatched. As for the collar, I hemmed it with a double fold with a zigzag stitch so that it can stretch comfortably around the shoulders. Testing out the fitting, it fits like a glove, but if you think we're over, you're wrong because we're only halfway there. This was only the start, and we can't just be wearing a plain fitted t-shirt and call it a Cvnty. It's never Cvnty without putting something that's Cvnty. As Aisha Erotica once sang, the literal legend, so that's exactly what I'm gonna paint on the t-shirt. The painting took me a lot more longer than expected since the paint didn't spread out that nicely in the fabric, and I think it would have been a lot more faster and cleaner if I had a screen print board, but I eventually finished it, and I'm not gonna lie, the finished product looked a lot more like the Loaded Diaper logo than that cool chic indie sleeves font that I was trying to go for. But to be fair though, Roderick Heffley is the founder and the OG of the indie sleeves culture, so at least there's some kind of correlation to it. And here is the final review. Hope you like it. Anyways, that was the end of it. And all the stuff that I made in this video is available on my Depop shop, so definitely check it out right here, and it's also in my description. And I also have my other socials that you can visit, like my Instagram and my TikTok, so definitely go check that out after you finish watching this. But I'm tired from doing all the voiceovers and editing all day, so peace out, guys. Bye. And the agreements, crystal Cvnty, little bins, the potential.